Greetings. Welcome to our Swivl webinar entitled, Are Your Students Okay? Are they? Boosting Engagement, Well-Being, and Success. Thank you so much for taking time out of your very busy day to spend a little time with us at Swivl, learning more about the things that we do, and most importantly, how we can impact your students. So thank you and welcome. We're super glad to have you. My name is Cynthia Glover. I am Educational Partnerships Manager here at Swivl. I've been an educator for over 30 years. I'm going to have to start saying over 35 years soon. But yes, over 30 years. And I have spent time in both K-12 and higher education. I'm a sociologist by training and have served in a number of other roles in higher education as well. And I am passionate. I am extremely passionate about engaging and empowering students. So, looking forward to sharing and learning together with you today. Thank you. What's our Swivl story? Lots of people have heard about Swivl. Some people have not. So, let me give you a little taste of who we are. Swivl has been around for over 15 years, working in K-12 and higher education, supporting thousands of school districts and colleges. Swivl builds technology tools to help solve some of the toughest challenges facing faculty and students. We are a reflective technology company, a reflective technology company. That's what we do. The way I would describe our impact is in transforming reflection from something nice to do, from something virtuous, into a practice, and helping teachers make progress in their work and improve their classroom. We've now taken a step back, created new technology that still helps teachers, but we also believe this new technology helps college students to be successful through reflective practices. And so that's why we're here today. That's what we're here to talk about. What have we been applying our Swivl learnings for? Because we've learned a lot, as you can imagine, in over 15 years. And a huge number of persons who work here at Swivl are educators, just like me. So we learn and then we apply those learnings. We're applying our learnings for all the things that you see on this list. I don't have to tell you as higher education professionals what these challenges mean, but I do think there's value in going through the list. Engagement. Lots of students are simply not as engaged as we hope they would be. They are not as engaged in their campus experience, in their university experience. That's definitely something that we seek to address. We all know about the mental health challenges as well, especially in the post-COVID era. First year experience. There are students who are encountering higher education for the very first time. And much like students entering ninth grade of high school, that first year experience is going to determine and even certainly influence a lot of what happens with that student in the future. So we absolutely want to support strong first year experience programs. There are also challenges around retention and graduation. Students drop out. They drop out for a number of reasons. They don't graduate for a number of reasons. We want to apply our learning so that more students graduate, so that more students complete their undergraduate and graduate journeys. There are also challenges that we want to address in terms of utilization of services and resources. I know firsthand that higher education institutions spend tons of money developing services and centers and resources and support systems and all these types of things, hoping that students will take advantage of all of these services and supports. The reality is some students don't know that there are services and resources available to them, especially your first year students, your students who are not as engaged, your students who are struggling in some way or another. So how do we make sure that universities get the chance to maximize their return on those investments, to make sure that every student not only is aware of the university's diversity of services and supports, but that they're actively able to take advantage of it, that they're empowered to do so and comfortable. Diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, they still matter. Some would argue they matter more than ever at this time in our history as a nation. Career readiness and life skills. How do we teach students, your students, the valuable skill sets, the soft skills, the durable skills, the communication skills? How do we get them ready for careers, not just jobs, but careers that will allow them spaces and opportunities to grow and be all that they can be and to maximize their potentials? How do we do that? And most importantly, we are applying our learnings for the very important task of meeting students in the moment. And we do that through technology that is relevant, that is mobile, and that is relatable. We have to meet students in the moment before the moment passes. So that brings me to our topic for today's webinar: boosting student engagement, well-being, retention, and success. And so we begin with three questions. Why change? Why now? Why reflection? Why change? Why now? Why reflection? Let's take each of these questions one at a time. It's time for change. Now, I know some of you who might be my age, meaning you watch TV in the 70s, right now you might be hearing that Brady Bunch song where the kids performed on stage for the variety show. I'm not going to sing it, but yeah, it's time for change. The only thing constant in the world, as we know it, is change. We've got to change with the times. There are hundreds and thousands of students on college campuses right now, but there are limited numbers of counselors, advisors, and coaches. I was talking with a higher ed administrator just the other day, and she said we've got over 4,000 students and 4 or 5 success coaches. I talked with people just a week ago, a counselor, a head of a counseling department at a university. They have, 6 or 7 counselors for 7,000 students. There are more students than lots of higher ed institutions can really manage in the way that they'd like to in terms of the supports. There are only so many counselors, advisors, and coaches. So how can we fill in those gaps? How can we stand in the gap for universities who don't have the human power, right, to be able to address the many and diverse needs of so many students? Time to change. Another thing that's limited, in addition to staff, right, advisors, coaches, counselors, traditional methods of learning about students are also limited. We try focus groups. As I mentioned at the start of the webinar, I am a sociologist by training. I love focus groups. I've conducted them. I have participated in them. I love them. But we also have to know that for college students, a focus group might not be most conducive to them expressing what they're really thinking and feeling. And that's because, as we all know, there's something called groupthink, where oftentimes the position or the viewpoint or the opinion that is the loudest and the most frequent and the most active in a group situation becomes the idea and the perspective that everybody in the group takes on, or many of them, or most of them, the majority of them. So what we don't want is groupthink. We don't want some students who are more reserved, who are more shy, who are less willing to speak up, to not have their voices heard. Every student's voice must be heard. If a student can't weigh in, how can we get them to buy in? Very simple. We also try surveys. Again, I'm a sociologist. I love surveys. I've written thousands in my mind of maybe not thousands, but certainly a few hundred surveys in my lifetime. And surveys have their place. They provide information, very critical quantitative information, and sometimes some qualitative data. But here's the challenge. A question, no matter how well written, can only address a certain number of ideas, right? And oftentimes the responses, and here I'm talking about the frequently used multiple choice question, oftentimes those responses don't accurately speak, again, to what the student is really thinking and feeling. So while surveys have their merit, they're limited. And finally, we try to sit down and talk to students. We do, we try to talk with them. Some students are less comfortable talking, whether that's in person, sitting down in front of them, or virtually. Sometimes they just won't say it to another person, and for so many reasons. So these traditional methods of learning about students are limited. That's why change. You've got to change and transcend these limitations. Why now? Why do this now? As higher education professionals, you have to wear 20 different hats in a week, sometimes in a day, it seems, right? You are counseling, you are advising, you are leading, you are directing, you are planning, you are reporting, you are testing, you are listening, you are learning, you are growing. So why, with all of these things happening, why now? Diminished self-efficacy. That's why now. Many challenges, not all, but many challenges today's college students face come from a lack of self-efficacy. Let's dig into that idea a little bit further. What is self-efficacy? What does it involve? Why is it important that students have it, develop it? I'm a teacher, so I like definitions. Self-efficacy is the belief that you can accomplish tasks and achieve goals. It's the person's confidence in their ability to control their behavior and environment and to stay motivated. Now let's break that down. There's a lot to unpack there. Self-efficacy is first and foremost a thought or perception that you hold to be true. It is a belief that you can do what you set out to do. It involves confidence. You have to know that you can do this and that you can control your actions and the environment in which you perform those actions to some degree. And you'll stay motivated. You'll keep going because you think truly that you can. We say lots of things that involve the connection between thought and action. We say things like, as a person thinks, so they are. We say things like, perception is reality, right? We say things like, if you can believe it, you know where I'm going, you can achieve it. So we have this ability already, we have this language where we talk about thought connecting with action. It is that connectivity between how you think and how you behave that we have to really teach students how to develop. We have to help your students develop self-efficacy and self-authorship. whether we're talking about engagement, retention, whether we're talking about first year experience, whether we're talking about mental health, or whether we're talking about support services, overall well-being, student success, it all begins in the mind of that student, the mind. So how do we peer, right? How do we get inside those minds? So we don't just measure, again, self-efficacy, we have to generate it. So what's reflection? Reflection is critical thinking. It's good and valuable critical thinking that teaches and transforms. So it involves thought, it involves transformation, it involves belief systems, ideologies, and action, and the marriage, the linking, the connectivity of the two. And here's our third question for today's webinar. Why reflection? Why is reflection important? Why is it important? I think this quote from the great John Dewey sums it up so expertly and succinctly. We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. Let me read that again. We do not learn from experience. We learn from reflecting on experience. So it is the thinking about what it is we have gone through. It is the reflecting. It is the critical analysis, not just going through the motions, but what do we think about what we did, what we witnessed, what we learned, what we experienced. That's where the magic happens. It's time to make the practice of reflection top of mind, just like the challenges that we are facing with our higher education students. Their challenges are keeping all of us up at night. These challenges that students are facing are real. They're now, and they're growing. And so we have to make the practice of reflection as a solution to those challenges top of mind as well. So at Swivl, we are listening, we are learning, and we are innovating. We're seeing what the biggest challenges are, and we're creating solutions to address them. Once we realized over the past 15 years, once we realized that teaching self-efficacy and metacognition could set up college students for more success, we set out to find a way to make that idea scalable. We asked ourselves a question. Could we create a technology that teaches metacognitive skills without, and here's the operative word, without adding more to an educator's plate? Remember, you're already wearing 20 hats. Can we do this? Can we build this technology and not have it be one more thing that educators and administrators have to think about? We did it, and we call it MirrorTalk. MirrorTalk allows your institution to gain 10 times the actionable thinking through reflection. So let's talk about actionable thinking, and let's talk about the technology behind our solution. Why is it called MirrorTalk AI? You guessed it, there's AI. The idea of our solution is to make sure that two things are known. One, we recognize that AI is here. AI is here, and students are going to use it. And as far as we know it, it's here to stay, at least for the immediate future. And B, we want to make sure that behind our new solution, people understand that students need to use this powerful technology in a guided way that yields measurable value. So as long as we are reflecting through AI technology, as long as we're not simply copying and cutting and pasting, that really tells us the answer to the best way to use AI. It is to make sure it is constructive and that you're reflecting. That's how AI is used wonderfully for higher ed and for all students, really. So we developed MirrorTalk, an AI tool for you to essentially assign and automatically process spoken reflection. The idea of moving to spoken reflection is that it's less easy to falsify, right? It's less easy to falsify with AI. Again, we're trying to peer into students' minds in an honest way, in a real way. So basically, you're recording them, these reflections, these student reflections, and it's a faster medium that you can then insert around more learning experiences. Whereas in written assignments, right, sometimes students are writing maybe one weekly written assignment a week, maybe more, but are those reflective assignments in the way that we really need them to be? And in most cases, they aren't. That's why we're using the AI technology. Now, the core of this technology is talk-based reflection. It's your computer asking you some questions and you respond to it out loud, as you see the young lady using her mobile phone. It is an app, and it can also be used on a laptop. We have hardware that adds another dimension to MirrorTalk, and I'm happy to teach you more about that in another webinar, or should you contact me after this one, and I'll be providing my contact information at the end. So the core of this technology is AI-guided spoken conversation on any learning objective or experience that allows everyone to gain deeper understanding of what it is they're experiencing, of what it is they're doing, of what it is they're learning. Now, if you were to create a reflection exercise for your students and send it to them, all it takes is a link. The students will click the link, and then their phone starts to ask them some questions. We make it very easy for you to set up good reflective prompts that help your students actively construct understanding and to ensure that they think about, again, that they think about what happened and don't just go through the motion. So it's a formative assessment in a way, but it's one that really benefits the students just as much as you in that they're talking it out. They're finding patterns and how it fits into past things that they've learned and experienced. Students are able to connect the dots. They're able to fill in the puzzle pieces. They're finding these patterns, and in the way they're doing it, it's kind of like in an extended little depth of knowledge conversation. It really is. Now, the other side that's compelling is that MirrorTalk AI, as a reflective technology tool, makes everyone's thinking actionable. Remember, we're connecting thought with action, belief with behavior. As a person believes, is how they will achieve. So the other side of this is you don't have to sit and watch your students talk to their phone or to their computer, because we're recording all of that and we're analyzing it for you. If you had to watch them, it would obviously take a major time investment to extract value from that, right? There's just so much data that's generated. And as you can see on the screen, we have lots of different things that we're gathering information on. So what we do is we use the AI technology to extract the value and make the students' thinking actionable for you. So we score a lot of different things. The kinds of things that we score would be things like understanding. We score how they're talking about what they just learned or experienced, how they're talking that out. The other thing that it does is it looks not just at the cognitive development. This is not just about that piece of it, but also the social progression of the student, their zone of proximal development, their sentiment, their mindset. There's all these different pieces that we get that give us a much richer, fuller insight into what that student is thinking and the thinking behind what they're sharing with us. So for you, the administrator, it gives you the actionable set of insights that you need on really the whole student right in front of you, and it helps you guide your practice and build capacity among your staff of coaches and advisors and counselors. It directs them. Where do they need to go with this student or this group of students? Why? And what suggestions do we have for making that next step? And then the last one, which helps you, is for each student at the end of their reflection, it gives them two pieces of immediate feedback. One, as you'll see on the screen, is their scores. They get their scores and a sample. It samples a little quote from their reflection. For some reason, I've seen this. People love seeing a sample quote from something they said. People love feeling heard, right? People love when you say back to them what it is they've said to you. People want to feel acknowledged. They want to feel listened to. So we give them a little sampling, a quote directly from their reflection, and we give them their score. And two, we wrap things up, the entire experience, into a little what we call mini lesson on how to think better about their own learning and growth. So they're getting the scores and they're getting that sample quote directly from their reflection. And they're also getting a nice little mini lesson to guide their next steps. Again, we're trying to connect their thinking with action. Now, in the purple block you see behind you on the screen, this is another great innovation. The purple block is where, say you had a whole group of students do this. It would take the most common lesson that everybody's learning in their reflections and report it back to you. So it's like a social learning experience, if you will. It's not group work, but it's bringing some of the value, right? The value of group reflection in a way where the student feels that they can be open because nobody's seeing their reflection except the administrator, the teacher, the leader. And B, you're able to build on the insights and lessons of the students going through the same experience. It brings some sort of connection and integration that we believe is very valuable, very valuable. So at the end, why Swivl? Why Swivl? At Swivl, we want to engage. We want to educate. We want to empower students. We want to do exactly what you're doing. And the biggest and best way we know how to do it and have learned how to do it is by listening to students themselves. Got thoughts? Got thoughts? I hope you do. I hope one of your thoughts is, hey, I really enjoyed this webinar with Cynthia. Thank you. Another thought I hope you have is, I'd like to learn more about MirrorTalk, AI, about Mirror, about Swivl. It's great. I'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Another thing I hope you think is, we can use this. We've got success and academic and other coaches and counselors and advisors all over my university. And you're saying to yourself, yeah, we could use this kind of reflective technology tool to dig deeper, to learn more, and most importantly, to target and be intentional about our efforts. Now, if you would like to sign up for your free MirrorTalk demo today, please take out your smartphone and you can scan the QR code on the screen. You can also visit our website at swivl.com, no E, SWIVL.com. You can also follow Swivl on the various social media platforms that you see. And if you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can reach me at C Glover, that's CGLOV like Victor ER, C Glover at swivl.com, SWIVL.com. I want to finish things up by saying I am extremely happy to have had this time to share and to offer you some of what we're doing here at Swivl. We want to have an impact on students and also on the people like you who serve those students. Please stay tuned for additional webinars coming from Swivl. Again, on behalf of everyone here on the Swivl team who seeks to engage, educate, and empower, I'm Cynthia Glover. Thank you. See you next time. Bye-bye.